Hey there, Matthew here. So in this video we're going to carry on with our blog series. This will probably be the last one in the basic blogs features. In this we're going to cover setting your posts to publish at a future date, using categories and tags, and anything else that I remember that we might have not covered in any other videos. So in the background you can see the blog that we've been working on for the past 3 or 4 videos. If I didn't mention it specifically, you've probably picked up that we've been using the save draft button just to save our blog but not actually publish it. So you can start writing many articles and just save them as drafts rather than publish them then and there while you're writing them. But say you've finished your blog, the writing's all good, you've spell checked it, you've had your copywriter produce something nice for you, but you don't want to publish it immediately. You maybe want to publish it in a week's time, set up a schedule of blog posts to cover the next 4 months or so you don't have to worry about it. Wouldn't it be amazing to have 4 months of content all ready and waiting? So if you're in that position and you want to set a blog to publish in the future, all you've got to look for is this little option here. So we can hit the edit button next to this and select a date for future publication. So I'm going to set April the 2nd at 8 in the morning. And there we go. So it's as simple as that. All we've got to do now is set the schedule button to save the post, and that's the same as publishing and saving drafts. It will save all the changes that you've made to the blog and also set the schedule. And you'll notice now that anytime you change some text within the blog, you're hitting update instead of publish, because the scheduling is overriding the publish. Okay. So we've got one other feature in this publish box that I just want to take you through, and that is the visibility section. So you've got 3 options: public, private, and password protected. So public is your standard blog. It's viewable to everyone that visits your website, as you would expect a blog to function. Password protected, this will give you the option to set a password, and this password will be universal, so it's not individual to any specific visitor. Anyone that visits this blog will be greeted with a small form saying enter the password, and they'll put this password in that you set to view the blog. Okay, it's not the most secure because people can share the password around, but if you want that, it's an option available to you. And private, this will publish the blog within your website, but it will only be visible to sort of members or admin of the website. So a normal visitor would visit the website but they wouldn't see the blog, but if you were logged in as the administrator, you could go to your blog and it would appear for you. It's a bit of an odd use case. You probably won't use it very often, but it's an option that's available to you if you ever find the need to use it. You also have one final checkbox, that is stick this post to the front page. This will just make it a sticky post that'll always appear at the top of the list. Depending on how we've built your website and the setup that you've got going, it may not work exactly as you imagine it, and if that's the case, just give us a call and we'll help set it up for you. Okay, so I'm just going to leave it as public for now, and there we go. We do have a couple of other options in here. So these are part of the SEO tools that we went through in about 3 weeks ago in the SEO tools video. So it's just saying sort of not available because we haven't done any focus keyword testing or anything like that. So that's why it's saying not available. Right, next we're going to look at categories. So currently our blog is uncategorized. Categories, depending on how your site's been built, generally appear in the sidebar next to your blogs or the main blog page or the individual articles. We haven't really made great use of categories. We haven't been blogging really like we should have been. Do as we say, not as we do, but that will start changing in the future. We're getting our act together. So you can add new categories at any point. So just add a category and then either click the add new, or you can make it a subcategory of another one, so that would be its parent. So if I want this to be a subcategory of tutorials, there we go, so that's in both the categories now. And you can make it a primary category, so if one of the categories is more relevant yet you still want to put it in 2 categories, that's okay. So we can make that primary if we wanted to, but I don't. I'm going to take it out of the uncategorized category. I'm going to stop saying category now. Obviously you just saw me add a blog to many categories. There's nothing wrong with that. You can add it to as many categories as you want. Depending on your website setup, we may be using categories to pull different articles into different sections of your website. So you may have a section for articles on, say if you're a personal trainer, you might have a section for nutrition articles, and if you've added your blog to a nutrition category, that would get pulled through to a different page on your website to blogs that are, say, based on strength training, which would go to a different section. And then maybe all of them get collected on the main blog page, but you've got different sections where you want the different themes to appear. So that might be one way that you've used categories on your website. Otherwise, generally, I'm just going to pop over to our blog. So you see our small collection of categories here. If you click on, say, work harder not smarter, which is one of our categories, it will display just a list of only those blog posts that are tagged with that category. Okay. So next I'm going to just take a quick look at tags. Tags are something we don't actually use, but they might be more relevant if your website is a sort of more blog article heavy site. You might want to use tags. We're not quite there yet, but like I say, do as I say, not as I do. Tags are sort of like categories on a diet. They do have the same functionality where you can click a specific tag and it will bring up all of the blog posts tagged with that tag. Okay, I believe Google also pays a tiny bit of attention to tags, but I'm not an SEO expert, so don't hold me to that. So you can see I've clicked on this tag for business, and the 2 blog posts that were associated with the tags, it's given us here. So if I wanted to add a new tag to this, so it would be so I'm going to add the tag nonsense, and there you go. You can see how it's slightly different from categories. It's not hierarchical, it's just a list of things to help you identify what the article's about. So maybe in your vast array of blogs, as I'm going to use the fitness trainer example again, the blog specifically might be focused on strength training, so you'd put it in a strength training category. But within the blog, you also mention various exercises like deadlifts or bench presses. So you might want to put those tags in there, and you might mention certain foods that are great for this specific area. So you might tag those foods in it and things like that. You might even tag specific trainers or people that you've mentioned in this blog, so that when people are going through your articles and they see a specific name of a person that they recognize, they're like, oh, okay, I'll have a look at what blogs you mentioned this person in. And that's what tags are useful for, because you don't want to necessarily be putting hundreds and hundreds of categories in. That's where tags can come in useful. And the last box that we're going to look at here is just some various layout options that you've got for your blog. These will be available on pages as well, and portfolio items, and probably even products as well. But they're things that will just help with the layout of a page. So say we go into this blog article here. There are options for cutting off headers, footers, things like the menu at the top. If for whatever reason you want those gone, you might not want your footer at the bottom to appear, so you can get rid of that within this layout section. So by default, everything is set to default, surprisingly. But if you don't, for whatever reason, on this specific blog, you don't want a sidebar, or you want it to appear on a different side than it normally would, there's your options. If you wanted to pick a different sidebar from your usual blog sidebar, I don't know why you would, but you might want the footer to appear in the sidebar on this specific page, or maybe you've created your own sort of widget area just for this page and you want to use that. This is where you'd select it. Footer settings. So if you don't want to display the footer, so you go for don't display footer and socket widgets, and that will get rid of the footer for whatever reason. And title bar setting, so that is the sort of breadcrumb trail. So we don't actually have ours displayed. We didn't feel the need to, but so I'm going to say display only breadcrumbs and then show you. Just going to have to change the scheduling to in the past so we can actually have a look at it. There we go. And we're going to have a look at it, and you'll see a breadcrumb trail, which is this. So we know that we've got home, then in blogs, and then tutorials, blogging help. These two are our categories, and then this is the actual blog itself. We don't usually have a breadcrumb trail, so I'm going to just turn it back to the default setting. And the final thing is the header visibility and transparency. So that is this guy up the top with your logo and your menu. So you have a few options. You can have it transparent. You can have it transparent with a border, glassy, so it's sort of semi-opaque, and it's invisible until you scroll down, where it will pop down from the top and just hide it completely if you don't want it. So I'm going to just make it invisible, and then it appears, just so I can show you what I'm talking about slightly. When you're doing this yourself, feel free to have a play. You can undo it all, play around till you find the one you want. These options are settable across the whole website without having to do it individually. So by default, you will have a way of setting this for every page. You don't have to do it specifically for each blogging article or each page. So you see when I scroll down, the header now pops up like that. But I don't want that on a blog page, so I'm just going to put it back to normal. And there we go. I think, fingers crossed, that's most of the important bits for blogging covered across these 4 videos. If you have any questions, feel free to drop me an email at matt@awesome-source, that's source.com, and I'll do my best to get back to you as quick as I can. Thank you.